Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition, and we turn now to poem 518, How Her Sweet Weight on My Heart a Night. Now, this is, we're going to argue, possibly another Sue poem, although Sue's never named in this poem. We are in many ways back to poem 452. You guys will remember this one. The Malay took the pearl, not I. The Earl, I feared the sea too much, unsanctified to touch. Praying that I might be worthy, the destiny the swarthy fellow swam and bore my jewel home to the hut. What lot had I the jewel got, born on a dusky breast, had I not deemed a vest of amber fet? The Negro never knew I wooed it to gain to be undone, alike to him. One, we, of course, to our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you worked through our set of introductory comments as well as our preceding 517 poems. We just finished with 517. He parts himself like leaves. And if you have, then you know that when we did 452, Emily is speaking, we think, about the fact that she wanted Sue, the pearl, but her brother Austin came in, the Malay, and took that pearl away. Now, in this poem, Emily is having a dream imagination, but I think she's playing around with two very ancient classic texts. First, I think she's playing around with the classic jilting text of Aeneas in Virgil's Aeneid, where Aeneas will promise Dido certain things, but then that will go away. Think about the power of dreaming, for example, in Virgil's text. We've given full lectures at LearnStrong.net if you want to run that to ground. I think the other text that she's playing with is Shakespeare's classic Midsummer Night's Dream. We've given full lectures as well at LearnStrong.net over that classic text, where dreaming plays a significant role in the idea of being with the one that you want. I think that the role that dreams play in mythology, Emily is playing with here. She'll say it this way. Her sweet weight on my heart a night had scarcely deigned to lie, when, stirring for belief's delight, my bride had slipped away. If 'twas a dream, made solid, just the heaven to confirm, or if myself were dreamed of her the power to presume, with him remain, who unto me gave, even as to all, a fiction superseding faith by so much as 'twas real. Now, these poems like this one give us a sense of Emily at her saddest, maybe, at her longing moments, when she wishes she could have the thing that she cannot have, be with who she cannot be with, dream of who she cannot actually be with in real life, and maybe hope that that one is dreaming of her. In all of this, is she talking about Sue, her pal, possibly her lover? It's hard to know. We're speculating, obviously. But notice the idea of the weight here. I think that's the key word of the poem, because I think what she's doing is she's worrying or considering the fact that Sue is a weight in some way. Her sweet weight, though, notice it's sweet, on my heart a night, had scarcely deigned to lie. Are we talking now here sexual language? When stirring for belief's delight, notice the capital of belief, and then of course the capital of faith later, delight, my bride had slipped away. And again, this is maybe a referencing to the Aeneas Dido idea, although of course they're never actually married. If 'twas a dream, notice it's speculative, made, again, Midsummer Night's Dream comes to mind, made solid. In other words, it actually happened. Just the heaven to confirm. I told you, she uses the word heaven in 135 of her poems. To confirm, or if myself were dreamed of her the power to presume. In other words, she says, well, if I wasn't dreaming about Sue, maybe Sue was dreaming about me. With him remain, are we talking now here, Austin, who unto me gave, we're back, of course, again to our study of 452, even as to all. When we get to 772, all is the price of all. Of fiction, notice from belief we go to fiction, superseding faith by so much as 'twas real. In other words, she's saying it was so real. The possibility, the proximity, the closeness of being with someone that I love. And I think that's the point at 2a. Regardless of who you believe the her of this poem is, I think the point is that it's really hard to not be with the one who you love and you wish to be with. At 2b, well, obviously it's unclear who the her of this poem is. At 3a, we mentioned, of course, Virgil's Aeneid, as well as Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. And maybe we would mention Tennyson's In Memoriam, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." It would be interesting to have a conversation with Emily to see if she in fact agrees with that sentiment. Finally, in 3b, to own a poem like this, what was a time when you dreamed of the one you loved and maybe you hoped the one you loved was dreaming of you? Thank you.